Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rebel Witch Show. Rebel Witch Show. Rebel Witch Show. Say that 5 times fast. I'm your host, Sadie Olson, the most rebellious witch you know, out here living her dream life. And today we are rebelling against scarcity. And I'm going to get into what I mean by that. But ultimately, money blocks. What is blocking money in our life? What is blocking the flow? And abundance and scarcity goes so far beyond money specifically, but money is something very tangible for us to wrap our heads around. Money is something we can feel really sensitive about, we get really stressed about, and we celebrate a lot when it's all flowing in, right? And so what are the biggest money blocks and how do we heal them? How do we move through them? How do we let go of them? And so we're going to be getting it in today, but I want to start by saying I am teaching all of this to you very humbly because I am on this path with you. And this topic is one of my passions. I have recently gone deeper into my own study of abundance and finished a certification as an abundance and manifestation coach. We love to continue the education around here. And this work really lights up my heart because I have felt so stressed, so low, so scarce in my life so many times. Money has, oh my gosh, it was the biggest stress and struggle all throughout my 20s. I could not get a grasp on this part of my life. And so it really lights my heart on fire. It really means something to me because it hits very close to home. And I get imposter syndrome because I'm like, who am I to teach on money blocks? I'm not a millionaire, so clearly I haven't figured it all out. But I know that I have a lot of wisdom to share from my journey so far as someone who was stuck barely getting by paycheck to paycheck and now is able to live my dream life, traveling around the world, living the lifestyle I dreamt about, being full-time in my own business. It's a dream. And so I'm still clearing these blocks in my own life. I'm still going deeper in these. I'm on this journey alongside of you, but it is just something I am so passionate about. So we're going to get into these. Let's see, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 main blocks that I feel we all come up against. And I want you to notice how when I'm going through these, which ones make you feel a little bit triggered. Because those are the ones that you probably need to work on the most. I think on some levels, we probably all have little bits of most of these blocks. Not all necessarily, but really the work on our abundance mindset, the work on our healing, it's forever, right? Like we expand, we grow, we reach new levels, and then we find out even more about ourselves in these areas of our life, right? And so I know everyone here, everyone listening has come so far in your own healing journey. You've come so far in your own relationship to scarcity and abundance already. And so I want us all to just take a moment to give ourselves credit. Reflect back a year ago or 5 years ago and think about the things you wished for then. Think about the things you dreamt about and what you have in your life now that once upon a time maybe felt impossible or felt really far away or felt like it wasn't meant for you. And just recognize how it's normal. It's normalized in your life. It's just, its existence is a simple fact. And just take a moment to give yourself credit for having manifested that, for having tapped into that abundance in that particular area of your life. And it is human nature to want more. Like we are creatures that we're just at our best when we are evolving, growing, creating. Like we find purpose through creation. And so as I'm going through these money blocks today, and if this is really resonating with you, and you want to go deeper on working with your money blocks with me, this episode is sponsored by me. And I have a couple ways that I can help you go deeper on this work. I think we're all gonna I know as I always talk through those, I go, oh, I think I just unlocked something for myself too. But one thing that I do all of the time is I return back to my Rich Witch tapping challenge. It's $22. And it's a series of 7 EFT tapping videos dedicated specifically to different money blocks that we experience. And the challenge of it is to do it for 30 days. So it's really spending about 5 to 10 minutes per day dedicated to your money mindset and seeing what kind of transformation you can achieve in 30 days. Guaranteed you will feel more abundant, and usually, if not always, people are manifesting surprise abundance in their life in big and small ways through this challenge. So you can join that. It's $22. You get lifetime access to it. And if you want to go all in, I keep talking it up, you can come join me in Abundance Alchemy, 12 weeks dedicated to learning the art of alchemy, which is traveling deep into our subconscious mind and working on subconscious reprogramming to shift all of those old stories in us that have created these scarcity programmings in our life that are affecting our lives, not only in money, but in many different areas. We can have scarcity in love. We can have scarcity in opportunity. We can have scarcity in every facet of our life. And oftentimes we're abundant in some ways and scarce in others. And this goes so much farther than money, but the side effect of this work is an abundance of inspiration, flow, creativity, love, inspiration, fun, joy, and cash money. So those are the ways you can go deeper into this work. And at the very minimum, you need to go snag my free money subliminals. And you can just turn those on in the background while you're getting ready for work, or it's a great way to wind down. It's like meditation music, and my voice is whispering amazing money affirmations in the background. So at the very least, go into the show notes, get that free money subliminal. Let's get into it. So here is probably, I don't know, I don't want to say any of these are the biggest block because it's different for each of us, but one of the biggest blocks to abundance is being in denial. I'm hearing the audio that used to trend on like TikTok and Instagram, like, denial is a river in France, or whatever it was. And denial can be one of the biggest blocks. If you feel like a block you have to money or to abundance, to a dream life, is I just don't know. I just don't know what I would want. I don't know what my dream life means to me. I don't even know what I would do with more money. That's a big clue that you are in denial. A lack of clarity, or simply just being triggered by the idea that you're in denial, can be a big clue into that you are not admitting that you want more when you do. This can manifest as toxic positivity. And I know we think about toxic positivity of like, oh, not feeling my negative emotions, brushing them aside. Oh, I have to be happy all the time. I have to be high vibe all the time. But toxic positivity, what I think, honestly, the sneaky way it manifests and is more common nowadays, because I think we've all gotten past, I don't think anyone anymore is preaching like, be high vibe all the time. Like, I think we all know better. But the sneaky way that toxic positivity still exists in the spiritual community is that we have to be grateful for everything in our life. And that is complete, utter bullshit. You do not have to be grateful for things that you're not grateful for. If you have a shitty living situation, or if you have a shitty car, or if you have a shitty job with a toxic boss, like, you do not have to be grateful for that. You don't. You can't bullshit the universe. You can't bullshit God. Like, it does nothing to force ourselves, I should be grateful for this. Well, there are some people without jobs, so I should be grateful that I at least have one. No, you don't have to be grateful for that. Gratitude is a powerful force in our life. And I think that there is always something we can discover in our life to be grateful for. So that's important. It's important for us to still exist in the energy of gratitude. It's one of the most powerful forces in the universe. It's one of the highest vibrations we can tap into, but you do not need to be grateful for things you're not grateful for. So this is one way denial can come into it. If you're not grateful for something, don't sit there and write it in your gratitude practice or say it in your gratitude practice. Like, don't. You're sending mixed signals, first of all. Find things you are genuinely grateful for and be honest about the things that you don't like or maybe even fucking hate in your life. And be like, I'm admitting it. I want more in this area of my life. I don't like my house. I'm going to find things to be grateful for genuinely. And I'm also going to admit that I don't like this thing and I want it to change. I want more. Yeah, I have enough money and I'm grateful that I can support myself in these ways. I'm grateful for this, this, and that. But I can still want more. But I still want to experience this certain kind of luxury. I still want, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not selfish. It's not greedy. And like, having a lot of money is fucking cool. First of all, because you're abundantly taken care of. Money is like the biggest source of stress in so many people's lives. Divorce rates are higher in households that struggle with money. Like, it's such a huge factor in our life. And this is what I always think about. If I start getting in my head, like, oh, you should just be grateful for what you have. Like, Sadie, you get to travel around, you work for yourself. Like, what do you need to, like, try to manifest, you know, having these, like, crazy, being a millionaire or whatever, right? Like, what do you need that for? Well, I think about, imagine, like, leaving a legacy behind. Imagine taking care of your family for generations to come. Like, how fucking cool would that be? To be able to leave that behind. Like, I don't want to make lots of money only for other people, but I'm like, gosh, I would love to make this happen where I'm making so much money that I could help my dad retire early because his job stresses him out so much. Like, that would, oh my God, that would be amazing, right? What a vibe it would be if I could, like, send my great-great-granddaughter to college and they're like, yeah, this is money that your great-great-grandma, who was a witch, set aside for you, and now you get to go to college or start your business or whatever with this money. Like, how fucking cool would that be? I have chills right now. I don't know. I've never received an inheritance, and I've thought about, I've heard of other people saying, oh, my partner has this inheritance, it's going to help us buy a house or whatever, and I'm always like, oh, must be nice. I'm like, I wonder what that feels like. Or maybe you're someone who has received an inheritance that has helped you buy a house or has helped you pay off loans, and like, didn't that feel good? Didn't you feel so supported? Maybe I've also heard of people feeling guilt around receiving that money, but that right there, that's a money block, right? Oh, I didn't earn it. We tap on that in the Rich Rich Challenge, feeling like we have to earn every penny, we have to work hard for every penny. We don't. So, like, there's no need to deny this part of ourselves that wants more. Like, having a lot of money is fucking cool. It's a tool. It's a resource. It's not selfish. It's not greedy. And it doesn't take away from somebody else. I think about when I, wish I could do more, when there's big things happening in the world, there's tragedies, and I'm like, yeah, like, I can donate a little bit here, I can donate a little bit there, but like, what if I was a billionaire and I could just be like, here's $100 million to fix this? How fucking cool would that be? Come on. Like, imagine if all of us witches were billionaires. We would literally save the world because we have such big open hearts and we want to share this magic, right? And so I just feel like it's important for us to embrace this part of ourselves. Like, I want to make a lot of money, and I want to make a lot of money to make my life really comfortable and full of adventure and luxurious experiences. And I also want to, like, overflow that into my family and my friends and the world and things that are important to me, right? And so having a lot of money is fucking cool, and we don't need to deny this part of ourselves that wants that thinks that must be nice, but I should just be grateful for what I have. We don't. It's just so unnecessary. We all want to use money in different ways, right? Like, maybe you don't resonate with designer handbags and luxury cars, but I've had clients that are like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I actually do want a lot of money, and it's because I want to live off grid and, like, build this house in the middle of nowhere, and me and my family are completely self-sufficient, and like it takes money to do that. Great, that's so rad. I couldn't do it. I love the internet and this so much. And I wanna like one of my favorite visuals is just like imagining me in the like first class flights, like laying down. I'm like, oh, when I can do that regularly, like that's a luxury that I look forward to. Maybe I'll have some luxury handbags. I do love to shop, but it's not so much that. It's like mine would be like traveling at a more luxurious level, right? And getting a home for me and my boo. I always imagine my next home is like this luxurious place with giant windows and overlooking like the ocean or a lake. Just gotta be water. And boo's sitting on this chair, and I have this big canvas in front of me, and I'm painting. And I'm about to like hop on a client call, and that's what I love to imagine. Like, why would I deny that part of myself and say, well, you know, at least I have this, so I shouldn't want that. We can have both. I'm so grateful for where I'm at. I love catching my economy flights to around the world. Oh my God, what a blessing to be recording this, to be sweating here in Bali. I'm so grateful, genuine gratitude, and that can coexist, and true abundance is allowing this coexistence between I accept where I am and I can find appreciation in where I am, and I also have this drive, this fire to create more. I do want more, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think it's kind of bullshit to act like we don't want more, because I know it's human nature. And it's not that I think we should all be lusting, yearning, longing for more, right? It's the coexistence. Abundance is tapping, I wrote it down, tapping into the energy of being in appreciation and at peace with where you are at right now, coexisting with the fire and the drive to create more. It gets to coexist, and that is true abundance. So we can tap into that right now. We can be our most abundant selves right now, even if our bank account doesn't reflect that yet. So, okay, we're done with denial. We're done with denial. I admit it. One of my favorite skits. I will try to remember to put in the show notes. It's from, I can never remember the show name. It's a skit. It's like a skit show on Netflix, and it's a Ford focus group, and there's this little old man, and I don't know. If you are someone that knows me, I probably showed you this before, like closer, if you're like close in my life in person. But there's a part where he I don't know, whatever, he's saying something and he goes, oh my God, he admitted it! And me and my friends say that all the time. Anyways, let's all admit it. Let's just all freaking admit it. Yeah, it would be fucking cool to have more money. Even if you have enough, even if you have more than enough, it's okay to want more. There's nothing wrong with that. And so a big money block can be being in this denial. And it's not selfish. It's not, not appreciating. We can coexist in both. We can appreciate and we can desire. It's no big deal. It's fun and fulfilling to have things to work towards. So let's go into the next block. Pride. Pride can be a big money block. And I think this kind of coincides with denial. Pride is feeling like, look, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing just fine. I think the wealthiest, most successful people, they're very open about their failures. They're very open about where they've gone wrong and the lessons they've learned. Like, an abundant mindset is not afraid to talk failures. And it's like failures equal lessons, which equal success. We learn so much faster through failing, right? Like if you go out into the world and fail, you're going to learn faster than just like listening to podcasts about that thing you want to do all day, listening to stories about other people failing. If you are experiencing the failure yourself, you're going to learn faster. Maybe it's a stray hair. I feel like there's like a spider web on me or something. It's probably my hair. And pride can also manifest as being really unwilling to get help, unwilling to have a coach or a mentor, unwilling to, it's like, no, like, I'm good. Unwilling, pride is like, I have nothing to glean from anyone outside myself. Do we have the power inside of us? Do we have everything we need? Yes, absolutely. And the two fastest ways to success is through failing and is through mentorship. Right? And like, in a mentorship doesn't mean like you have to hire like a one-on-one coach and invest thousands of dollars. It does not mean that. You can choose a mentor and read every book they've ever written and then go like actually live it, right? Like books, especially like podcasts, like we're talking about different things every week. It's a little bit different, but like a book is dedicated to like one topic all the way through. I love reading books. I've learned so much from books. I've always been a book learner. Like when I was in college, I worked full time. And so I like needed to work in order to get by. So like I would skip class to work. I'd be like, no, it's fine. But I'd also still ace all my tests because I'm like, I just read. I read really fast. And if you're not a reader, like audiobooks too are totally fine. I just mean that like a book about what it is you want to like learn about, whether it's finance, money. I'm reading, I love reading about our brains. I'm a mindset coach, so it makes sense. I'm so passionate about learning more and more and more about the brain, about emotions, how to, work with the subconscious mind. So not only do I go through like education on that, but I read books. And I think that's where more of my knowledge is from, truthfully, than anything official. And so you don't have to hire a one-on-one coach to have a coach or a mentor. Like, you can have a mentor in somebody that's written a book and like study that book and then reread that book and like go all in on it, right? And so let's set aside our pride and admit that maybe we need help. Maybe we need to invest some time in ourselves. Maybe we need to tap on money every day. Maybe I do have more money blocks than I thought. Or maybe I do, a lot of the spiritual journey is just simple self-awareness, right? And then it's like, once we feel like we've healed one part of our life, then the next part of our life that needs a little something, a little TLC, that comes forward, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done so much work on money mindset and abundance and being, that kind of like coincides with building a business. It's really important. And then now I'm like, my self-awareness is now veering me towards being very self-aware about some things when it comes to relationships. And so now I've been more consciously working on that, right? And it's like, I'm still working on money mindset alongside that big time, but like, where are we being called to work on? So abundance is abundance in love and how that affects our relationships, abundance in money and how that affects pretty much every facet of our life, right? Like that can cause stress that affects our relationships. Abundance when it comes to career opportunity. Maybe you want to go back to school, but you feel scarce in time and you feel scarce in energy and you feel scarce about what age I am and really starting over at this point, whatever it is, right? And so it all comes back to the scarcity mindset and alchemizing that into the abundance mindset. And so if you resonate with this, again, this is Abundance Alchemy, 12 weeks dedicated to deep subconscious programming and just creating this deep sense of self-awareness and healing these parts of ourselves. But pride, speaking of pride, I would love to be your coach through this. Bridge Challenge is $22. Oh my gosh. And it's so good. That's a great place to start and test that out. And then maybe you want to come into Abundance Alchemy after that. So pride. And then this goes into, pride, let's just recap. Like, let's talk about our failures more. Let's realize that our failures equal lessons, equal success, right? We talked about last week with Jessica, like, fail faster to be successful. I still can't remember who said that. I was trying to like go through my reels the other day. I was like, nope, I didn't save it. I wish I had. I think it was in stories where I saw that. But we're not afraid to admit where we need help, where we need support, where we're not the ultimate genius, I very humbly come to you, putting my pride aside and saying, like, I'm still working on this with you. I'm still working on my money blocks. There's not millions of dollars flowing in all the time. So I'm still doing this work with you. But I know that I have magic to share with this, regardless, right? And then this goes into another money block is just lack of education. And this is a big opportunity for me, I think. So especially, like, we just weren't taught these things in school, right? When we think about investing or just, like, doing, quote, the right things, smart things with our money. This is a big opportunity for me, and I'm not going to sit here and give you, like, financial advice and pretend like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I would love to have a financial expert on here someday, and I do work on learning about this. I'm like, yo, your girl's got a high yield savings account now. I do have investments. I'm not going to try and give advice on that, right? I'm working on making my savings extra juicy so I feel extra supported. All of these things that used to give me the ick. I was like, no, I have money. Why wouldn't I just spend it all? I'm working on that big time. But there's, like, this willingness to be a beginner. It can feel overwhelming. A willingness to learn, to invest the time and energy and money into yourself. And this could be, like, lack of education around money itself, or a lack of education in whatever it is that, like, I have so many people that dream about having a business or dream about being a creative and receiving money in that aspect. So whether you do that already or it's something you want to start, like, the lack of education might be, like, around what it is you do or around business itself, right? Like, I don't only invest education in learning about the subconscious mind and things like that. Like, I also invest my education in learning business because I have a business, and so I need to have business coaches sometimes, and I need to, so it's not all like, ooh, witchcraft and magic all the time over here. Like, I'm learning about these things too, and I'm actually teaching it. I have BizWitch clients. Books can be your first level of, here's how I become an expert at this, before you invest in a high level program or invest in a coach. But I cannot emphasize enough how much normalizing that in my life has changed my life. The first time I invested in a high level program was Manifestation Babe Academy, which is how I met Jessica from last week. And oh my God, I was like shitting my pants. I was like, I am so crazy to spend this money on this. And it changed my whole life. And it's the reason, that first investment is the reason I'm sitting here today, right? And so education, being willing to set aside the pride and seek out the education that you need to create the things that you finally let go of denial of. You're like, yes, I want this. I want to write a book. I don't know where to start. I'm going to find some communities or find a coach or find a class or find a book that lays out how to start writing a book. I'm going to invest that time in myself, right? I have like, I swear, infinite people who are like, I want to write a book. Write the book. Okay, the next block. This is huge. Ooh, I have chills right now because I think this is one is going to resonate the most. And if you're watching on YouTube, like, drop a comment. Let me know your biggest takeaway. If you're on the audio podcast, send me a DM. Let me know your biggest takeaway. Here's what's really important. You know what? Well, no, I'll forget. Let's get into this now because I haven't started the next block yet. Here's the biggest thing you can do to help yourself. And this is connected to education, okay? So when you're reading a book or taking a class or listening to this podcast and any other podcast that teaches you something that really resonates with you, or you're in a class, I always tell my students that are doing, I always ask, like, after, if it's a pre-recorded, I'm like, after you listen to this, come tell me what your biggest takeaway is from that. And that's not just for me to know. I love knowing, but it helps ingrain it into your brain. It helps your subconscious mind, like, swallow it and keep it because you're repeating it back. And so I would invite you, anytime you're listening to a podcast, this one or other, anytime you read a book, like after every chapter, whatever. Like, just take the time in your notes app or in a physical journal, just write a one sentence, my biggest takeaway was. And you never have to reread it. That's not what it's for. But doing the act of writing it down, that is an act of reprogramming the subconscious. It will stick with you. It's very, very powerful. And that is not just a random tip. That is grounded in science, okay? So do it. So for today's episode, and I would love if you send it to me. That would mean a lot to me. I just love, it fills up my cup to know that something I said resonated with you. But do it for yourself. You don't have to share it with me. So the next block is a lack of a vision. Ooh, and this is what most of my clients come to me struggling with, lack of clarity. I want to create more purpose in my life. I want to feel more fulfilled. I don't know what a dream life means to me. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it is. And here's the thing. We can manifest more money. We can say, I want to manifest $10,000 this month. Great. But money is a tool. It's not a goal. Let me repeat that again, because when I first heard, I don't know who I first heard that from or where I read it first, but this is so important. Money is a tool. It's not a goal. Money is a tool. It's not a goal. What are you going to do with the money? The biggest block to money being a lack of vision. You need to know what you're going to do with that money. Take a sip of water here. There's going to be a pause. Ready? Your girl's out here sweating. That first week, I had the fan on. Couldn't do it. Totally ruined the audio, even though I was able to scrub out the fan noises. Let's hope this week there's a little bit of a breeze. I hope it's not making a noise. Okay. So what are you going to do with the money? Like, what is its value to you, right? That is so important because, like, oh, yeah, it would feel great to have $10,000. It would feel great to have an extra $10,000 in my bank account, but, like, that doesn't really mean anything. It does, maybe stir up some feelings of, oh, I can breathe because I have this extra money. Like, I don't need to be stressed. It might offer us some relief or some sense of, like, stability, right? But what else? Like, make it exciting. Oh, yeah, if I had that much extra money coming in every month, this is what I would do with it. This is how my life would be different. What do I want my money to do? This is how I would organize my money to help it make me make more money, right? Like, that's how wealthy people think. Like, my money works for me. So, like, money wants a job. Money wants us to be daddy and to be like, this is your little job to do. Okay? Money likes it when we daddy it. So I'm gonna put on your, like, little daddy hats and be like, look, money, you're coming into my life in greater amounts, and this is what you're gonna do. And that can be support a more luxurious life, and luxury means something different to each of us, right? More massages, a designer handbag, living off grid, buying a camper van to travel around the country with. That's different to each of us, right? One person's luxury would be another person's nightmare. And that's a motherfucking 5. Okay? Decide its job. Be like, when you're doing, okay, also, side note, if you haven't already, I took it is so good. I took a money spell out of the Alchemy Collective member vault, and I posted it on YouTube. So schedule in an hour of your time this week and do this money spell, but go beyond just saying the dollar amount. And we do this, and I say, you need to imagine what you're doing with the money. You need to feel the excitement in that. Decide its job. So when you're doing a money spell, yeah, you can be like, I'm going to do a money spell for $500. Great. But what's going to be more powerful and send a bigger message is deciding its job. What are you doing manifesting that $500 for? How's it going to make you feel? Filling in all of as much detail as possible, using every sense possible. So we need a vision to support a luxurious life, I would feel like such a badass if I owned properties and I went that route, or, for investments in myself, investments in, like, massages and bougie, treatments for my body, investments in, I always have a one-on-one mentor that is always supporting me. Like, oh my God, that would feel amazing. Put your daddy hat on and say, this is your job. You're coming into my life and this is your job. And money's gonna be like, yes, sir. And I just like that. I can say, yes, ma'am. You can put your goddess hat on. That's fine. But I like the daddy vibe. So vision. Shift the energy from money being a goal and shift it into money is my tool and what do I want it to do? What's its value to? Because that's a little different for each of us. And that shifts the energy so much when it comes to manifesting the money. We're not just like, okay, universe, yep, I need another $100 this week. Oh, yep, I need another $1,000 this week. Yep, I want it. It's like doing spells for these random amounts of money just to see if it could happen, just to, experiment, test the universe, see if it works. That's fine. But money wants a job to do. Money's a tool, and it's like, tell me what to do. I'm here. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank, I think he's the one that I was reading, said this, but he was like, money is like my little soldiers, and I send out my soldiers to go to take prisoners and bring back more soldiers. Right? Like, that's the mindset of like a very wealthy man, right? He's an investor, right? Shark Tank. Shout out. I love Mr. Wonderful. I love Shark Tank. I always watch it at home with my dad. But like, that's the vibe, right? He's giving money a job to do, and he's very successful. We don't have to think about, I don't necessarily like the vibe of like soldiers taking prisoners, but we can come up with our own metaphors. I like just being daddy and being like, this is your job. This is what you're going to go do, right? Okay. So a lack of a vision can be a huge money block. Are you with me on this so far? The next block, and when I say this, let me explain, because it's gonna trigger us at first. Okay, don't stay with me here. No, it's okay. The next block to money is laziness. I know, Sadie. Have you gone over to the dark side? Are you a part of hustle culture now? No. That's not what I mean. Laziness being a money block does not mean, well, you just need to hustle more for money. You're just being lazy. No. That is not what I mean at all. And it also does not mean, well, you should have a stricter budget. You're just being lazy. Both of those things are scarcity mindset. Okay, so that is not what I mean by laziness. I love working hard on things that are in alignment with who I am, with what I love. Like, oh my gosh, like, that feels so good to be in flow. But I've worked hard my whole damn life. I hustled and grinded at so many jobs. I was always stay till the job was done. I would, put the job before me always, like, and I was poorer than ever. I had less money than ever. That was not the answer. My last job, I was working like 50 plus hours most weeks, commuting usually an hour and a half each way. I was fucking tired, and that was the most I struggled with money, I think. Even though I was making good overtime. I was working a lot of overtime, and I actually, I had jobs where I was on salary and I was working overtime and I didn't get paid for it. And I was better off in this situation, but oh my God, I was struggling. So what I mean by laziness is not having, and I loved, so Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zankina, made this reframe in a post that I saw, because she said, like, let's reframe discipline. It's not discipline, it's devotion. Discipline has this energy of strictness, and I like the word discipline. I joke, me back to my daddy word, but I joke discipline daddy because I love Arrested Development, and there's this part where he's like, discipline daddies, here. But this makes so much sense to me. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to share this. So she said, like, devotion is the word we're all looking for when we think of discipline. And so devotion to your vision, that vision that you're going to make, it's a devotion. And I'm going to use the word discipline again, though, because it's like this energy of discipline, like standing up against all of those excuses that like our mind comes up with to procrastinate, to put it off, the things that make us stuck and frozen, right? Like laziness is being complicit in that. So I'm not saying we should all be hustling more and then we'd be better off. Absolutely not. Been there, done that, didn't work. So devotion is the sort of opposite to this laziness. Consistency, commitment, to see it through, to see your vision through, to be committed to this desire that we have to create more in our life. Create more money, or attract more money rather, and also like things that light up our world, right? So when you have doubts that are trying to make you procrastinate, there's these, arguing voices in your head. No, you should wait till tomorrow. Oh no, you should rest. Oh no, blah blah. Like sometimes you should rest, but that's my biggest sneaky ego. Actually, I was talking about this with a client the other day, and this is so perfect for laziness being a money block. This is so spot on and a good example of laziness being a money block, okay? And I was talking to my client. We're doing, she's a biz witch client, so we're working on building her business, and she was like, how do you do it? How do you practice the self-discipline? How do you stay so consistent? Like, how do you stay motivated and inspired, to post and all this stuff? And I was like, oh my gosh, one, it's a habit that you build over time. I was not like this in the beginning of my business. And we were laughing because I was like, oh my God, when I first learned about divine feminine energy, I was so fucking toxic about that in my own life, just for me. And it's still important in a balance that I'm consciously aware of. But we were laughing because I was like, oh my God, it was my new excuse for procrastination. My brain was like, babe, Sades, you need to rest. You need to be in your feminine. You don't need to do this right now. And it was this very spiritual, magical excuse to procrastinate. And it wasn't true. Like, there are times when that's true. But it was tricky to learn the difference in that when it was the truth, and it was time to relax and slow down and embrace the feminine energy and not hustle and grind. But then there are times in our lives, and I'm gonna I'll just go into how we can kind of tune into this for ourselves, because I'm sure other people are leaning in. But not using the, I was like, well, my intuition says rest. No, babe, it was not my intuition telling me to rest. It was me procrastinating. So laziness is not standing up to that, right? These doubts, these excuses come in, and you're just like, yeah. Yeah, I should just listen to my energy. I'm not saying that's never true, but laziness is not putting in the effort, not practicing the self-awareness to know the difference, right? Just being like, yeah, that's it. When fear is keeping you frozen, not standing up to it, right? That's laziness. When you've reached a ceiling and you're like, oh, I can't get past this, but I should just be grateful for what I have. This is good enough. Yeah, it would be nice to move past this, but I'm farther along than I was, and I should just be proud of this. This is laziness. You want more, get a mentor, get a coach, get an accountability partner, crash through that motherfucking ceiling, right? Laziness breeds excuses and procrastination. So it's not like the wealthiest people are not the hardest working people. They work hard, yeah, but it's developing the habits of resiliency and commitment and tenacity to not give up on your beautiful visions. So, okay, let's return back to this. If you're like, oh my God, I do that. So here's I actually made notes about this. I forgot after this conversation. I was like, I need to talk about that. Okay, so in my notes, I said I learned about divine feminine energy, and that I took that to a toxic level and made it a new excuse for procrastination. But if there is something that you need to get done to have peace of mind, just fucking do it. Like, I would be like, oh, my divine feminine says to rest, but then I would sit there, my mind racing. I should do this. I said I was going to do that. No, I'll do it tomorrow. And I wasn't at rest. That's not true. You know, and it could have taken less time to just do it and then had some genuine goddessy kind of, you know, rest. If I would have just like called myself out on my bullshit, got it done, and then would have had more time to actually genuinely have nourishing rest rather than fake rest that I was just feeling like guilt and like self-resentment build up. And part of this, again, like I'm talking about my experience, and also I have had to learn that I do still experience guilt and I do still experience self-resentment when I do need genuine rest. So this has been a practice in self-awareness, but here's the trick that I've learned and figured out, because like we do need to learn to slow down and honor these cycles, because our society is very hustle and grind driven, and like if you are feminine in nature, if you have a menstrual cycle, one, you do have a natural rhythm that you can tune into and follow. And if you don't have a menstrual cycle, you can follow the moon cycles to do this. So you don't have to have a menstrual cycle. It's okay. So one, asking myself if I'm being really honest with myself, what's actually happening here when I'm procrastinating. And a menstrual cycle is a really easy way to tune into when you are sort of naturally in the energy of resting and slowing down, and naturally in the energy of like being energized and having a really good like moment to like hustle, so to speak. Because hustle and grind, whatever, but like hustling is fun when you're in the right energy, right? Like when you're in flow, like it feels good to hustle. I love being in my hustle energy, and I also learn to love. It was harder to learn to love, but I've learned to love my slowing down and resting energies, right? And so we can have a good relationship with both. So maybe you already know this, or maybe when I say that you're going to be like, oh yeah, duh, but like during our periods, it's a natural time to go inward, to slow down, to rest much more. And when we're ovulating, we are much more energized and it's much more natural for us to be in creation and hustle mode. And we're more like outward, right? It's like inward, outward. And so I'm just throwing this mic around. Hopefully you caught all that. But however, if you don't have a menstrual cycle, or you're like, well, I don't ovulate, like that's fine. Don't worry about it. Full moons are, you can tune in. I think it's different for different people, but notice how you feel on the full moons and the new moons. The new moon is a new cycle. So typically the first day of our period, a menstrual cycle would be considered the first day of a new cycle. So you might want to sync up that way with like how you intuit this for yourself if you don't have a period or you don't ovulate. So that could be the first day. So you could have the new moon start and have like a week where it's just like slower and more restful. And then at the full moon, be more active and energized. Or, full moons are, typically known to be more about release, and a period is a release. So you might want to swap that. And like my period cycles sync up with the moon, but it changes. Right now I'm a new moon witch, where before, for the past couple years, I was a full moon witch, and before that I was a new moon witch. So it does switch. So pay attention to how you feel and then track that. And that's a good way to know, right? And it's not going to be accurate 100% of the time. You might need extra rest if you're ovulating, whatever, but it's a good clue in. So that's a little side quest we just went on to know. But I was like, oh girl, she asked me that, and I was like, girl, I was so toxic in my own brain about that shit. I was like, me and my feminine all of the damn time, and it was an excuse to be lazy. So I think we all have to, I think this one can be the most triggering one. It's the one that I've had to work on a lot, but this is probably the one that I think I've made the most progress in. Whereas before I was like, I'm a perfectionist. I was such a procrastinator. And now I have so much energy. And so I used to just assume I wasn't the kind of person who could do this and this and this and this. When I first started my business, if I had a client call at like 5, 6 p.m., I couldn't do anything all day. I was just like, my nervous system was like, I couldn't handle more than that. I couldn't have more than one call a day. If I had a morning call the night before, I'd be like, oh my God, okay, I have to prepare, be like meditating and tapping, right? And like part of that was just nerves, learning how to be an expert at my craft, of course, right? But it was like my capacity was only at so much. And so it's part of like stretching ourselves, getting uncomfortable. Now I can take multiple clients in a day and it's like chill. I always meditate in the mornings. I say a little like I guess you would call it a prayer. Me and my ex-Catholic triggered by the word prayer, but I say a little prayer before each client. Just like asking the universe / I'm getting more comfortable with the word God again. I'm kind of vibing with that. No, not everyone does. It's all good. I'll be like, please God, like, you know, help whatever needs to come through in this conversation today. Like, may it come through, you know, like help me ask the right questions and guide this conversation and, you know, open my heart, open my client's heart, make them feel, you know, comfortable and held and all of those things, right? And so, but I don't need like 6 hours leading up to that. It's like I need 30 seconds to be like, okay, now I'm in the energy of this client. So it's not necessarily laziness, but it's like expanding our capacity to hold more, right? And that's part of the abundance mindset too, is like expanding our capacity to hold more. I help a lot of people start their businesses or start their, you know, their content creation journeys. And it's like, yeah, now I post typically twice a day and I record a podcast and I have, you know, a number of private clients and I'm making podcast clips. So I'm actually posting 3 or 4 times a day and this and that and that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually do so much and I'm chilling. And I still feel like I rest, and not always, but you know, like I'm traveling and I'm enjoying myself. And I'm like, oh my God, like Sadie in 2021, when this all started, like 2020, she could never. But last year when I first started traveling, it was hard, right? And so it's laziness, but it's also, and just that willingness to stand up to our own bullshit, right? Not being complicit in it. And it's also just like being patient with the progress of opening our ability to hold more, right? And we can do that with tapping, is a big one to help ditch procrastination, to help calm our nervous system. That's really what it does. It's tapping on acupressure points. So Rich Witch Challenge will be huge for you if you feel like you need to really work on your nervous system and being able to like stand up to these procrastination excuses, stand up to the perfectionism, stand up to the fear. You're like, yeah, I don't want to be lazy about this anymore. I want to take a stand against it. Try the Rich Witch Challenge. It's going to be huge. Okay, so we have 2 more blocks. So another block is time. Yes, time is a money block. Time scarcity is a very real thing. Like, we get so consumed with, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time. I was convinced I didn't have enough time for this podcast for so long, and then I started doing Abundance Alchemy on myself as I was creating the program, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm chilling, let's start the podcast. Like, and I'm fine, and I still have plenty of free time. Imagine that. So we are so convinced that we have no time. We have time. Or at least you have more time than you think. So 1, time is a block. Just our willingness to take the time to do all of these things, to learn how to move past these blocks, to learn how to grow our wealth, like our literal money, right? But here's the thing, and I really want you to sit with this. It takes the same amount of work and time and energy to barely get by and struggle as it does to be very successful and wealthy. This is the law of polarity. It's really hard to struggle to get by, and it's really hard to figure out how to be wealthy. Both. And so I'm like, okay, well, it was really, it certainly was really, really hard on my nervous system, especially to be like living like barely paycheck to paycheck, wonder if I was gonna, I was just making my rent, oh no, that check bounced, I gotta scramble and get it back in, all of this. Oh my God, in my 20s, it was such a struggle. In my early 20s, I was a hot mess express. And it's taken a lot of time and a lot of healing. And I'm still working on this big time with you guys. But yeah, like but the difference is like the hard is like it's a struggle, or the hard is like, oh my God, I'm working towards something that's gonna change my life. What a fucking vibe. It's very different hards. And so I would rather pick the hard of like, how do I figure out how to have a successful business? And let me tell you, it's been way more fun than the hard of the struggle that I went through for so long. And your hard might not be starting a business, but I think in manifestation, and you'll hear me say it too, like, let it be easy, and that's true, but also like, let's just hold the capacity and know that when we do hard things, we find fulfillment through that. Like, that's a big deal. When we do hard things, we're proud. And I've learned too, like, when I do hard things and it doesn't go as planned and I feel like I failed, and then I pick myself back up through that and I try again, I'm like, I'm proud. That was a success because I got back up again and I didn't. The only difference between like someone who's successful and someone who failed is that the person who failed gave up. If they would have kept trying, they would have found success eventually. Like, it's just, I really believe with all my heart, our success is inevitable. If we just keep, and we have to, right? We have to go back to these other money blocks. Like, yeah, if I keep trying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again and not taking any lessons out of it, and I keep feeling, well, I might not ever be successful. But if I go scan through these money blocks and be like, where am I in denial? Where am I letting my pride get in the way? And I really need help on this thing. Where am I acting like I know everything, but my lack of education is really fucking showing itself here, right? And so it takes the same amount of work and time and energy to struggle, or to struggle and struggle and struggle in scarcity, or to struggle and find the success that we dream about, right? And like, this is one of the, we tap on in the Rich Witch Challenge that really spoke to people of just like, my hours don't equal money. Oh great, now there's a drill in the background. Hard work and time spent working does not equal money, right? Like, we know that consciously, but we think that doesn't apply to us. Yeah, but if I work more time, and like, yeah, I know a lot of people have jobs that are like hourly, so it's like, well, Sadie, I could argue that my time is my money. But that's where, like, we know, like, the wealthiest people in the world are not trading their time for money. They're trading their value for money, right? They're making their money create value. Like, this cycle, right? And this can go back to like, okay, so maybe I need to learn more about that, right? But usually, and this fucking sucks that this is the way our world works, but usually the people who work the most hours and work the hardest are making the least amount of money. We can get mad about that. We can say, fuck capitalism. We can, whatever. That's good. I think the best way we can change the world, like I said at the beginning, it's like, I think if I build a business and I can make so much money, and I can hire a team and pay them so well, I can pay them based on value instead of time. Like, I dream about having a full team and I pay them, abundant salaries, and I'm not like, yep, you have to work 40 hours this week, otherwise, you're in trouble. I'm like, here's the work I'd like you to get done. If it takes you more than 40 hours, please let me know. I never want you to work more than that. Like, and ideally there's seasons where we're chilling and there's seasons where we're working more, and like, I never want to base like that. Like, that's the world I want to live in, right? I wish I had a boss like that. Whereas, like, let me pay you based on the value instead of your time. So like, if I have more money, then I can spread that out into the world, right? Boom, there we go. Let's not be in denial of the way good things can be put into the world through us good-hearted witches having more money. And time, I don't have time is a scarcity response. Like, I really think that the vast majority of people have more time than we think. I know this because, like, my last job, I was working my last job, like I said earlier, like, minimum was usually 50 hours a week, sometimes more. Like, I was there forever and ever, every day. Plus, I was driving an hour plus each way. And I could have said, I don't have time or energy to change my life. And everyone listening would have been nodding their heads, be like, yeah, Sadie, you poor thing. You're overworked and underpaid, and you don't have time. I have sympathy for that, right? And, like, sure, I was right. Like, I was really tired, but this is where I started. This is where I started changing my life. Like, I was like, okay, well, while I'm in the car, I can listen to audiobooks and things to teach me about these things I want to learn about. I started going to yoga class after work, even though I was exhausted, but I was like, well, you know, then it makes the drive home shorter because traffic has passed. And I found all of these ways. Suddenly, I had way more time, right? And so instead of I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough resources, or I don't have enough of this is us stuck in our scarcity mentality. And really just, like, ask the universe for inspiration. Show me the opportunity in my life. Show me the time. Show me how to be smarter about my time. Show me how to to get from here to where I want to go. Open up to inspiration. Take care of your energy. This is huge, right? Like, am I going to say it every episode? Start your day with a little meditation. Okay, that's all I'm going to say this time. Raise your vibration and take action on it when the inspiration comes. Like, it's not as dramatic as you think sometimes. Like, sometimes I'll see someone in their stories, like, post a book and it catches my attention, and I go look it up and I start reading the book, and I'm like, oh my god, the universe plopped this book in my lap. This is exactly what I needed to learn. This is giving me a huge breakthrough. This is what I needed in this moment. Sometimes that's all it is. But because I'm, like, open to receive this inspiration, right? Like, and you're like, your intuition, and when my intuition says, Sadie, this book someone posted about, that one's for you, where I scrolled past other books that people posted about and didn't have another thought, I act on it, right? Sometimes it's that little, that small. It's not always this big dramatic, like, my intuition said to quit my job, leave my relationship, buy a one-way ticket. No, it's not like that all the time. A lot of the time, it's like, oh, I noticed someone post that book, I'm going to read it. Oh my god, this is exactly what I needed. My life has changed forever. So I don't have time. While I know everyone has busy, full lives, lots of moms here caring for little humans, all of it, and I know. But it is like being smarter about our time, being creative with our time, right? Like, Now, I started listening to this gratitude meditation and repeating the gratitude little phrases out loud while I do my makeup. And I'm like, boom, done. I don't need extra time for gratitude practice. I'm already doing my makeup most days, so I'll just add that in, right? Like, there's these these micro moments throughout our day where it can really add up. I want to learn more about this. I want to further my education on this. Okay, so I'm going to choose this author as my mentor of the month. And I'm going to consume every book they've written, every interview they've done, every podcast they've guested on, and I'm just going to go all in on learning from this person. They're going to be my mentor this month. Making the time. And you're doing that while you're cooking dinner, while you're driving, on your lunch breaks, whatever. Like, it's just like filling up our time we already have more intentionally to go where we want to go, to support ourselves. How good is that? Okay. So, the final block, and this one, I was like, oh my god, okay, one moment. Water. Okay. This is one of the biggest excuses we all get stuck on. It's like, well, I'll do that when this and this and this is taken care of. I'll do this when my kids are a little bit older, or I'll do this when my school loans are paid off, or I'll do this when my car is paid off, or I'll do that when work is a little bit more chill, or whatever it is, right? It's always something. When my ducks are in a row, right? Like that's the excuse, right? This is the ducks in a row money block. Feeling like you have to have your ducks in a row before you can give attention to any of what I previously mentioned, or any other money blocks that you're aware of, right? Like, yeah, it's a money block to have these limiting beliefs, duh. Believing money is the root of all evil, believing we have to work hard to earn money, believing all these things. This is, if you feel like you have a lot of money limiting beliefs like that, Rich Witch Challenge addresses them. Get in there, $22. But feeling like you have to have your ducks in a row before you can give attention to any of this. So if you're driving or operating machinery, do not close your eyes. But anyone that can, close your eyes. I know we listen to our podcasts on drives a lot, so don't close your eyes, obviously. But if you can, close your eyes and imagine the little baby ducklings all in a row. Oh my God, they are so cute. Imagine them all in a row. And what do you notice about the baby ducklings? They are in a perfect row as they're walking and following their mom, right? Now, mama duck stops, and what happens to the ducklings? They scatter. They're chilling. They're no longer in a row. They wander around, they're looking at each other, they're pecking at the ground or in the water, right? Like, they're not in a row anymore. So, what does this mean? Our ducks are in a row when we are in motion, acting on our intuition, on our inspiration. This is how our ducks fall in a row. Our ducks do not fall in line when we're just sitting waiting around for them to be in a row. That's not how ducklings work. It's not the nature of a baby duck. So we gotta be mama duck, and we gotta take the lead. We gotta say, baby ducks this way. Listen to our inspiration, listen to our intuition, take action on that, be in motion, and then the ducks fall in line. So no more waiting. No more waiting for the ducks to be in a row. This is the biggest money block, is we're waiting for X, Y, Z, and then. And we'll be waiting on them forever if we're not careful. So, it's 11:11 on my computer. How divine. So I'm curious. Come send me a DM or just write it for yourself what your biggest takeaway from this week's episode was. Again, if you want to work on removing your money blocks, just spending 5 to 10 minutes a day tapping on your money blocks, join my $22 Rich Witch Challenge. It's self-paced. You get access to it forever, but you're going to get the greatest reward if you tap every day for the 30 days. And if you miss a day, double up. The tappings are so short, you have time. No time scarcity here. I made it so simple. Try that out if it really inspired you, or maybe you want to go all in right away. Come join us inside of Abundance Alchemy. You can join it as a member of the Alchemy Collective or as a standalone program. I know some people aren't really into the membership vibe, so you can do it either way. We are only on the second week, so you haven't missed much. It'll be easy to catch up. You can pop through the first 2 weeks and meet us where we're at. And this is 12 weeks dedicated to mastering the art of alchemy and opening yourself up to an abundance mindset in every facet. So if you feel like you get stuck on fear, if you are stuck on a lack of clarity, really any of these money blocks, these abundance blocks that I spoke on, perfectionism, fear, all of it. This is all scarcity. And so we're really this is a subconscious reprogramming program, which is all the work I do. I'm the subconscious mind whisperer. I fucking love it. This is the root of magic. This is the core of it all. And so every week there's, on a private podcast feed, there's episodes dropping just to drop more inspiration, much like this episode, to really inspire you, listen to over and over again to reprogram the subconscious mind. And then there's also activations, there's prompts, there's things for you to do to integrate it into your life, because really, like, full embodiment goes so much more behind learning and knowing, right? It's like, I'm going to help you actively reprogram the subconscious through these activations, through these prompts. Sometimes it's journaling. There's going to be coming a self-hypnosis. There's going to be, guided tappings, more things like that. And so all of these tools we use to open up to the inspiration, open up our intuition, open ourselves up to receive more of all the good, juicy things in life. Abundance, abundance, abundance of love, joy, creativity, inspiration, purpose, fulfillment, joy, fun. Did I already say that? And a natural side effect is cash money. So thank you. And don't forget, there's also free money subliminals. So at the very least, download those, start listening to those every day. Just in the background. You don't have to sit down and meditate. Just put it on in the background, not while you're driving though, because they can be a little bit hypnotic. Keep the free money subliminals. That's going to help. That's the most effortless way you can reprogram your subconscious mind. You can fall asleep to them. When you're waking up and getting ready, you can turn them on whenever. It's just like a meditation type song that plays in the background. And I've officially opened the waitlist for hypnosis. So I am almost done with my hypnosis certification. Your girl's going to be a certified hypnosis practitioner. I'm so excited. And I will be doing a free group session, and then I will be offering to the first handful of clients a really special, deep discounted deal to help me practice. I'll be practicing in my certification, but I also, the first few, like, quote, real clients, gather your feedback, and it'll be really fun. So get on the wait list if you want a chance at snagging one of those deeply discounted spots. Hypnosis can be used for so many things in our life. Maybe it will be a money block. Maybe it'll be something else that can help us ditch bad habits. So if you have any questions about that, send me a DM. I'd love to chat with you about it. But I'm very, very excited for this next part of my journey. I love continuing to learn and deepening my identity as a subconscious mind whisperer. It's been so fun to do this certification for me, and I'm so excited to share the magic soon. Do me a huge favor, and if you are on Spotify or Apple, take a minute, leave a review. That helps so much boost my podcast and the algorithms. Make sure you are subscribed. I'm on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support. I'm so excited for the magic to come in the Rebel Witch Show. You can follow me on social media. I am Sadie Olson on TikTok and Instagram, at Rebel Witch Show on Instagram if you want to catch podcast clips in between episodes. And hey, if you love this episode, share it with a friend. Help get the word out about the new podcast. I love you guys so damn much. Thank you for being a part of this community, and I'll see you next week. Bye, Rebel Witches.